Hello, my name is Tegan Blue Eyes, and today I will be teaching you guys how to wrap a female Navajo moccasin. The beginning of the footwear isn't exactly recorded well. There are a variety of different types of moccasins that are made to fit the environmental standards of different tribes and nations. Each are made differently and at times even decorated by being dyed, beaded, or stitched in a certain manner. Today we will be discussing the female Navajo moccasin, or known as Ke'aneta'i. It is made from either deer or cowhide and at times requires a small metal button where a simple string of cowhide is looped around, creating a shoestring to tie around the ankle and tuck in. A typical moccasin is dyed red. The shoe itself is made from cowhide and leather. The sole is made from a thicker part of the hide that is soaked in water and shaped into footwear. Each part of the moccasin has its own significance. Starting with the sole of the shoe represents Mother Earth. On the top that is red signifies Father Sky. Where it meets Mother Earth signifying balance between both worlds. Next is the wrapping, representing rainbows and sunbeams, signifying peace and safety. Now that we are past that, we can begin the wrapping of the moccasins. But for fair warning, when you first purchase a pair of brand new moccasins, it would be wise to try it on with a pair of socks first. Not only would it be good to find the right size, but you also don't want them to be loose or too tight. Either of them can be a major inconvenience. The point is to find a size that is within the exact range of your foot. Once the footwear is on, it may seem snug at first, but that is only due to the fact that they are brand new. They have never been worn and would need time to stretch and adjust to your foot. The tightness experience can only be resolved by wearing them properly and stretching the hide and sole. In other cases, you can spray water on it and stretch it as well while wearing thick socks. In this video, I will be demonstrating the parts of the moccasin and its uses, and what will be required. So right now I am going ahead and pointing out the top hide part of the moccasin, that's the shoe, and moving on to the button where I've demonstrated and briefly mentioned where the button is, where the shoestring will go around and be tucked in. Behind it, I am already grasping the shoelace that's going to be tied later on around the ankle and will be tucked in around the button to secure it. After demonstrating the shoestring, I will be moving on to the wrap and the wraparound bandage. What I call the bandage is just a long part of the cowstring. The sheet I'm holding right now will be wrapped around the calf and be used to kind of cover, making a bit of a legging. So once that is up around the calf, I will move on to the wrap. So the wrap will be wrapped around the calf, and there I'm holding the shoestring again, which will be used to tie around the calf to hold the wrap in place. Moving on to the hand towel, I demonstrate that I usually fold it in half just to keep a fuller fill. You want to have a fuller fill from the moccasin, and rather than having it stick kind of like a legging to your calf, it just gives it a weird shape and it honestly kind of looks uncomfortable. So people add the towel kind of mainly as a cushion and to prevent any chafing or pinching from the wrap. You can choose to wear this whether you're wearing jeans or not, but most people prefer this to give it a fuller look. And now I am demonstrating how I basically hold the towel in place, which is by safety pins. If I can find it, there we go. I usually put it in safety pins just to hold the towel in place. This is where you can decide whether how long you want the towel to be. In my case, I just went ahead and measured out and folded it once more. Okay, so moving on to the next video, I am demonstrating how to tie the ankle part of the moccasin. So my model has her foot in already, and I'm just going to demonstrate how to tie off the moccasin. You really don't want to make like a knot or anything like that, mainly because it's uncomfortable if you were to make a knot and it's that one little bundle that's rubbing against your ankle. It's not nice and it kind of shows up in the moccasin if anything, even though it's hidden by a towel, but really it's up to the comfortability of the person who you're wrapping or yourself. So I go ahead, make a simple knot, and then I'm going ahead and wrapping the lace around the button to make sure it's tucked in and snug so nothing moves. This usually comes with the moccasin sometimes, but you can also buy them. With the excess, I'm going to go ahead and wrap around, tuck it around the rest of the band. And then I'm going to grab my tea towel or my hand towel, and I'm going ahead and just demonstrating to either wrap it around. This is where you can decide whether you want to use safety pins, just like I'm demonstrating, to hold it in place when you fold it over. And again, too, when you wrap it around the cap, I will demonstrate later. But I will go ahead and wrap the towel around the calf just to demonstrate and to basically give it a nice boot shape, you know, like a full shape. Have it nice and thick so nothing happens, no chafing, and it also holds it in place as well. So go ahead, wrapping around my towel around the model's ankle and her calf. Where my hand is on the end, you can add either safety pins or you can add tape. Tape is usually easier to deal with since it's just a quick fix, but this prevents anything from like the towel peeling over or anything like that. But this also, if you want to freelance it, then go ahead. That's totally up to you and up to your confidence if you feel up for it. I go ahead and I pull up the sheet and go ahead and demonstrating that real quick. Sorry, the video cuts out real quick, but I'm going to go ahead and pull up the sheet, making sure that my towel is going to be in place, making sure that the towel doesn't go ahead and create like a little bunch on the bottom so that the wrapping where I'm demonstrating right there doesn't bundle up and kind of create like a big old mass right there. You don't want that. You want the wrapping to go up nice and straight, just how it is right there. It will fall over, or sometimes there will be excess sometimes, but we go ahead and we will deal with that later on top. As you can see, where the wrapping doesn't go all the way past the towel or anything like that, but that is totally okay. I will demonstrate how to take care of that later. So my model already has the wrapping or the bandage wrapped up and rolled up and ready and prepped for me. The shoelace is hanging out. So I go ahead and demonstrate in this part of the video that the wrapping over there, so you don't have to worry about it covering the entire ankle or making a straight line. In this case, it is normal for the wrapping to not only basically be folded in, but you want to create like a nice little hill, or in my case a little smiley face right there. Go ahead and have that and wrap it around, make sure it's nice and tight. And this is where you also want to decide where you want, how tight you want it, how tight it is okay to the model or the person you're wrapping, or even yourself. So when I go ahead and I'm moving on to the wrapping and demonstrating which side should be showing, one side that should be showing is the nice shiny smooth side. It's going to be nice, it's going to be smooth and soft. Like I'm demonstrating, kind of going ahead and pulling it right there. On the other side should be the rawhide center, where it's going to go ahead and show a little roughness. That's going to keep moccasin and the wrapping in place. It's kind of will give it a clutch of a bit. And so I go ahead and have my wrap in place, and I'm going to make the first wrap. So keep your legging in place. You can have someone hold it if you would like to, and don't worry about that bunch. We'll take care of that. So I'm going to go ahead and make my first round. So my first round, this is where I'm going to decide, making sure that nothing's bunching up. It's not going over the heel of the shoe or anything like that. Since it does stick out, sometimes it tends to get caught up on there. But you go ahead and you decide how tight you would like it. This is also another thing I would like to mention is what I call candy cane lines or little swirls. You don't want them to kind of go diagonally, your lines, when you go ahead and you make these. You want them to go nice and straight, beautifully straight. Don't go ahead and make a candy cane line, go diagonally, or anything like that. So making sure that you're not hurting the person you're wrapping or yourself, you're going to determine how tight you would want these and how snug. You don't want it too tight because you can cut off circulation, as I mentioned, but that's totally up to you and how you feel about these. So now, since I have my moccasin wrapped up and everything is nice, straight, beautiful lines. There's no candy cane lines or anything, and I will be moving on how to tie off the rest of the shoe. So in this part of the video, I am demonstrating the length of the ties. You want it to be on the same length of the side. It sounds interesting, but you're going to use one side that I'm holding is going to be shorter than the other. You want the tie, mainly the bow, what you're going to make to tie up the shoe on the side of on the outside of your leg, sorry. And so the string I'm holding is going to be longer than intentionally than the other that I was just holding. This is going to go ahead and be going wrapped around to tie off the end of the moccasin. That's going to hold it in place. So moving on, we go ahead and wrap it around. As I went ahead and previously prepped this tie off on my own already. It's pretty even and everything. You can't really see it, but there it is. And also, don't worry if you think that it's just kind of like a candy cane, you know, you think that the wrap's going to fall off, but that's not the case. Instead, you can see that there's a previous wrap that's under, if you can see. So as I demonstrated, go ahead and lift it up, hold it over, and it's going to completely stay in safe. It's going to stay put and everything. You're going to go ahead and use that little tie or that string, or the shoestring in that case, to tie off, go around, and you're going to make it nice and snug. This is also going to depend on whether you want it to, how tight you also want it to tie off as well, because this is what's going to keep it in place. Go ahead, you can apply as much pressure as you need to, but be careful. The leather in this case is pretty delicate depending on how tight you pull it and everything. You don't want that. It's pretty hard to find another replacement, and it just kind of creates a huge mess and sometimes, and it just doesn't look right. So you can decide if you would like to make a bow on the side, if you'd like to tie it off. If not, in my case, I prefer to make the bow and then go ahead and tuck in the excess through the strings to just tuck it in and make it look neat and nice. But in other cases, again, I go ahead and I untie it just to make sure that it's staying put. So go ahead, wrap it around once more, and I'm going to go ahead and tie it off and make a bow. So some people turn to make it, or go ahead and leave it as a bow or just make a knot, and some people just tend to just leave it like how it is, just dangling. I don't think it's a good idea because you just spent a lot of money and it's nice and pretty and white. You don't want it to look kind of dingy when it hits the dirt or anything, or let the shoestrings get any dirty, or like your the typical shoe. So it would be better to go ahead, keep it in a nice little knot, make your bow, and I'm just going to go ahead and leave it right there. And right now I'm going to go show and demonstrate what to do with the excess. The excess, it's not the end of the world. You can always tuck it in, and what I mean by tuck it in is you go ahead and you take the top and you're going to roll it in. So you're going to go ahead and roll it in. Sometimes it just depends on the length. So if you were to have a towel, kind of basically makes the legging uneven. So here I'm just going to go ahead and tuck it in, and here we go ahead and boom. There, it's all nice, it's all pretty. Going ahead, it's tucked in nicely, and we have it all tucked in nice and even, nothing wrong. We have our straight, beautiful lines, no candy cane lines, and everything looks neat and tidy. And again, it does take practice to go ahead and create and wrap this perfectly in your own manner. It does take time and practice, but you know what? It's a great experience, and I'm pretty sure that you will have fun with this as well.